The University of Texas is fighting back against so-called protesters. It's April 30th, 2024, and these are your headlines. For the second time in less than a week, anti-Israel agitators, protesters as they want to be called, disrupted operations at the University of Texas in Austin, demanding the university divest its investments with Israeli ties. The center of the issues were these protesters attempting to set up an encampment on the university's south lawn. That's illegal under state law. This led, of course, to a swift response from police officers and those from the Department of Public Safety who had been pre-positioned to back up the university's police department. According to a statement released by the university, quote, after protesters ignored repeated directives from both the administration and law enforcement officers to comply with institutional rules and removed the tents assembled on the university's south lawn, then physically engaged with and verbally assaulted Dean of Student Staff who attempted to confiscate them, UT and partner law enforcement agencies dismantled an encampment and arrested several protesters. They also said baseball-sized rocks were found strategically placed within the encampment. The majority of protesters are believed to be unaffiliated with the university. Their statement goes on to claim that they received extensive online threats over the weekend and details how over a dozen nonviolent events over similar subject matters have transpired since October. And that's an important point. You know, we're not just talking about protests, we're talking about students and many non-students coming into the university, setting up shop, setting up camps, much like we've seen happen at the University of Columbia, as we've seen happen in other universities across the country. They're saying that's not going to happen here in Texas. Adam Kahn, who was on the scene yesterday, says he observed demonstrators cursing out police officers, calling them Nazis, spitting on them, and throwing water bottles. And just like last week, dozens of arrests were made. And this comes as a growing number of faculty at the university, over 500 now, say they have no confidence in President Jay Hartzell due to his handling of the protests. Should professors and university staff be able to participate in these kinds of protests? Let us know in the comments. Texas's grid operators warning of potential deficient power reserves over the next couple days as energy prices continue to rise ahead of the summer season. It's still spring. I mean, it's already like we're getting into 90 degrees. You can tell it's going to be a hot one. Well, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT, specifically stated in a notice recently that the grid might face issues from April 29th through May 1st. So we're in the thick of it right now. If necessary, ERCOT would have to delay or cancel planned plant outages and shore up available supplies by about 2,800 megawatts. Prospective deficiencies are not guaranteed to happen, but traders start looking at prices months in advance to gauge the outlook for demand. This essentially means that even the potential of outages or deficiencies can result in the price of energy going up. Earlier this month, spot power prices increased by more than $4,000 per megawatt hour after ERCOT warned of a similar potential emergency, which ultimately didn't even occur. Well, one of the people fighting back against this is State Senator Bob Hall. He's been leading the charge in pushing Texas to invest more resources in securing the electric grid. In fact, in a recent presentation he gave at the Citizens Defending Freedom of Williamson County's meeting earlier this month, Texas Scorecard was there, Senator Hall called attention to the state's decrepit energy infrastructure insufficient to sustain things like national security. He says the power companies have never embraced technology. The electricity you get today is generated, transmitted, and delivered almost identical to the way it was 100 years ago. Most of Texas, by the way, unlike most U.S. states, are connected to its own power grid, and that's operated by ERCOT. Some exceptions include the El Paso area, parts of West Texas, and a portion of the Panhandle.
Is it possible to morph from a hero into a villain? I'm Valerie Munoz. Join me as I introduce you to the most powerful lobbying group in Texas. One that started as a savior, but has become the very thing they were created to destroy. Listen now to Season 7 of Exposed, The Beast of Austin, available wherever you get podcasts.
Land Commissioner Dawn Buckingham is telling the Biden administration she opposes another proposal for an offshore wind energy sale in the Gulf of Mexico. Last year, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, a branch of the U.S. Department of the Interior, auctioned off 3 proposed wind farm leases, including one in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and 2 areas 24 miles off the coast of Galveston. In response to the proposed auction, Buckingham sent a letter calling the introduction of hundreds of wind turbines reckless. She highlighted concerns for wildlife that will be affected by the introduction of wind turbines, including the endangered Rice's whale, hundreds of bird species that migrate through the Gulf, and a number of fish. Additionally, Buckingham pointed out risks associated with building wind turbines in an area rife with hurricanes that could destroy the turbines within 20 years. Currently, it takes 335 tons of steel, 4.7 tons of copper, 2 tons of rare earth elements, over 1,200 tons of concrete, and as much as 1,400 liters of oil to build a single turbine, just one. Buckingham said that she sees many concerns with building turbines in the Gulf and will fight to protect Texans from the risks posed by green policies. For more of today's stories, go to TexasScorecard.com.